We are in Hamilton today, and we are talking to CAA. I'm going to call you a driving tip expert, Caitlin. We're talking about how to really prepare yourself for winter driving. It's all about winter driving tips. What do we have this battery here for, Caitlin?
So a lot of times people don't think of battery and the importance of that in winter time. And really we want to be looking at this first and foremost to keep ourselves safe. Almost 50% of the calls that we get on cold days like today are related to this guy right here.
Interesting.
So the average battery lasts about 3 to 5 years. You want to make sure that you're checking that if it's getting around that time. And the reason is that cold days like today, even a fully charged battery may fail. So you want to look ahead and plan ahead so that you don't get caught flat-footed.
Is there any other mechanical stuff besides battery that we want to kind of keep an eye on a cold day?
Yeah, so battery is a key one. Another one is just your general fluids and wanting to make sure that you're keeping everything running smoothly. When it gets cold, fluids get thicker and slower. So you want to make sure that you're filling those, that they're up to date and fresh and new for those cold months.
How do you make sure that your battery is a good battery? Is there a way to test it without...
Yeah, so you can go to any sort of mechanic. It's usually $30 to $50. They can test it and make sure that it's working in good order. We, of course, go to check batteries all the time. And if you need a new one, then we can replace it on site right there. So they'll often ask you about your car and make sure that they have the appropriate battery.
Right.
But some tips for knowing if your battery might be close to failing is if your car clicks or grinds when you're trying to start it, if your lights maybe start dimming or your radio light, that type of thing, you can kind of see that this really
something's going wrong.
Yeah, is probably on the outs.
Okay, good to know. All right, coming up, look, I'm crying, it's so cold out today. Coming up, we are going to be discussing what fluids you should have in your vehicle, and of course, we'll take a look at your emergency kit as well. Lots more coming up on a very cold Morning Live. A couple of the most important things to really focus on when it comes to winter driving is making sure that all of your fluids are filled up and that you have proper visibility. I'm intimidated by under my hood. Like I am. I open it up and I'm like, ooh, where do things go? But it's really simple.
Yeah, and every car is different, so you want to familiarize yourself with your own vehicle and know what it takes.
In the summer.
Yes, in the summer, hopefully. And you know, this is really a key important one for weather like this. Even on days like today when you're driving with salt and soot, you want to make sure that you've got enough of this and an extra one, windshield washer fluid, so that you have that good visibility. There's nothing worse than driving and not being able to get that sort of soot off of your car.
Totally.
So,
and with that,
that's right. This is the second part of it. So having really good windshield wipers, you can get winter specific ones. This one is not a good one. You can see it's been used well past its prime. And many people don't realize that the average wiper only lasts about 6 months.
See, I totally didn't know that. And the first time I went to change my wiper blades, I couldn't get them off. They were like rusted on.
Exactly.
And it was in the middle of winter because I was not paying attention to my vehicle like most people may not.
Exactly. And it's not something that you have top of mind until you see that flipping thing and
then
you think,
you're like,
oh, I better go get that fixed.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind and making sure that visibility is key, because as you're driving out on the roads, not being able to see where you're going is a problem.
I didn't know it was only 6 months.
I know. And I mean, obviously sometimes it can be a bit longer, just keeping an eye on the quality of it.
For sure. Okay, so more fluids here. What do we have here?
So the other piece is obviously your oil. You want to make sure that you're getting your oil changed. We recommend in the fall when you're going to get your battery checked, and if you're going to get your winter tires on, you get your oil checked right then as well.
Yeah.
This is something you can put in with your gas to help with those cold winter days.
What does it do? Kind of makes it more efficient?
Yeah, it just helps to keep things running, because in the winter time things move slower.
Right.
They get thicker. You want to make sure that you've got the best possible things in your vehicle to get you through those winter months. A lot of people don't realize that about 85 to 90% of the calls we get are related to things like mechanical failures, batteries,
and fuel.
and running out of fuel. So it's not necessarily like a big crash.
Right.
Or, it's the small things of keeping your car going that really can make a big difference.
Yeah, so there's a really good tip. Make sure you always have extra windshield washer fluid in the vehicle with you. Coming up, we talk emergency kit. Back here with CAA, Caitlin is explaining to us what we need in an emergency kit, because I myself have one now because I've worked in this type of industry for so many years, but I didn't have one for a really long time. And I know there are a lot of people out there that don't. And it's not necessarily because they're lazy, it's just because they don't necessarily know what goes in one.
For sure. And it's also important to think of your emergency kit differently in the winter. So there might be things in the summer you have, but in the winter, you want to make sure you can stay warm.
Right.
If you get stuck on the road, on the side of the road, or even in traffic, if you run out of gas, you want to make sure that you have things to keep you warm.
Okay.
So as you can see here, we've got an extra set of mitts, hat, a couple blankets, the wonderful toe warmers, which we probably could use right now.
Yes, we're freezing out here.
In addition to that, you want, obviously a first aid kit just in case. In here, it's really great. There's a collapsible shovel, so if you get yourself stuck or you need to sort of move some snow, and it's again collapsible, so you don't have to have a giant shovel in your back.
Totally.
And we always recommend as well having extra food and water. Of course, you'd have to bring that water on a regular basis so it doesn't freeze.
Yeah.
But you never know when you might be stuck in a situation for longer than you think, and so having some protein bars, something to get you through, that's really key too.
A little snack. What about jumper cables?
So most emergency kits do have jumper cables. It's good to have just in case. We actually though don't recommend that you use them unless you really, really need to.
How come?
Call a CAA, etc. The reason is because these days cars are basically computers.
Right.
And so if you do it improperly, you have a chance of short circuiting. And that
really
can cost a
causing,
lot.
yeah.
So if possible, don't use them unless you really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And of course, if you really need to, you do it.
You do what you gotta do,
right?
yeah.
We always, of course, recommend calling us. And we can do it safely and, again, replace your battery if you need a new one.
And get you going, because then if you jump start it and it goes, well, you never know what's going to happen the next time you turn your car off.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, can you buy, I noticed that like family travel emergency kit, you can just buy them already kind of put together.
Absolutely. So at CAA, we sell them at our retail locations, and you can also get them online at casco.com at our store, but certainly you can put them together yourself.
Yep.
Lots of different stores have these as well, especially during the winter months.
Yeah,
so they're fairly easy to find.
It would have been a good
have those
Christmas
basics.
gift.
Definitely. It was, I think, in our holiday gift guide, actually. So.
Of course. Okay, well, coming up, we'll talk about what happens if you get a flat tire, how you're supposed to deal with that situation during the winter months. There's a lot more coming up on Morning Live. I think we picked a perfect day for filming outside. It's actually the coldest day we've had so far this season, Caitlin. We're with CAA and we're talking about winter driving tips. We've talked about the fluids you need in your car. We've talked about your emergency kit, how important visibility is. But tires are something that you could easily overlook.
Yes. So winter tires are really, really important in the winter months, of course. They help you with stopping distance. So a good set of 4 matching winter tires will help reduce your stopping distance by about 25%.
Wow.
But you also need to think about tire pressure. So it's something you may not be thinking about on a regular basis. Each different car has different vehicle manufactured standards, as my face freezes in the cold.
It's hard to talk.
And so you want to check that and make sure that you're filling up your tires according to those standards.
And that's what Luke was just looking at on the inside of the door, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
So it's in your owner's manual. Usually there's a sticker somewhere as well that you can reference. And you want to make sure that you're checking those. A lot of modern cars will also have a system that will tell you when your tires are starting to get low.
Check tire pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can go do that. And the reason is in the winter months, as it gets cold, tire pressure actually changes.
Right.
So even though your tires might have been perfect a few days ago and it was warm, now it's colder, you might notice that those alerts are coming up.
And it doesn't fluctuate. I mean, once the air goes out, it's out. You can't get it back in unless you actually do something about it.
You need to go fill it up for sure. And it can really make a difference with maneuverability and handling as you're driving. So linking all this back to safety and just making sure that you're decreasing the chances that anything happens.
And of course, if you do get a flat tire on the road, CAA is the best place to call.
Of course, yes, we come get you very quickly, quickly and safely. And we actually have a system, believe it or not, that allows us to predict when and where breakdowns could occur.
Really?
So we can position our trucks around the province to make sure that we're able to get to you as quickly as possible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Okay, for more winter driving tips or just general maintenance or really anything car related, you can always go to the CAA website, which is?
CAASCO.com.
All right, thanks so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Drive safely in this cold weather. Try your best to stay warm.